Want to take your Figma design into a live responsive.com website in minutes? Remember, with no coding. Well, I've got this tool that is insanely easy to achieve this kind of task. I know you're already guessing the tool that we're going to use based on the recent Figma update, but wait, nope. Because majority of us don't have a premium plan to use Figma Site. So this is a hack video of how you can publish your Figma design into a live responsive site without paying a dime. FBI, open up! Hi there, my name is Praise, and in this video I'll be showing you my work process of how I turn my Figma design into a live site that I can search on the web. So stick around and let's get started. This is the design we are going to be starting with. I got this design from the Figma community. I just searched it up and saw this landing page, and yeah, this is what we are using for today's tutorial. So like I said, I'll be showing you guys how you can turn your Figma design into a live interactive site. So if you want to turn this static design into an actual website, you have like three options. Yeah, about two options, sorry. The first one here is to normally hire a developer to develop everything. That might cost you a lot of money. The second option, which sounds like the hardest part, is using a no-code platform just like Webflow. But learning Webflow is actually hard for people who are just new to the platform. So what is one way you can use to turn this design into an actual website in minutes? When I say in minutes, I mean in minutes. So the first thing we are going to be doing here is to export this design into Figma, develop it right inside of Figma, and publish it at the go. So that's what we are going to be doing here. We're using a tool called Figma to achieve this task. And I know some of you might be thinking, I thought Figma published a new feature of Figma Site where you can just publish your website right inside of Figma. But this is it. When we go to the home page and we decide to come to the Figma site, you see we don't have access to it because I have to upgrade to professional to use Figma to build a site. So this is it. That's why I'm not using Figma site for this reason. So let's jump right in on how you can achieve this task. The next thing we're going to be doing now is to export this design into Figma. We can't just Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V right inside of Figma. It doesn't work that way. So the next thing you're going to be doing is to select the design down here and search for Figma to HTML. So I've been using this plugin for some while. That's why I have it in my recent. So you can search for it on the plugins menu and you see Figma to HTML with Figma. So you select the plugin and let it run. The next thing it's going to be doing now is going to copy our layers. You can see it is copying all the layers in this design. So when it's done copying these layers, we now have the ability to paste it right inside of Figma. So as you can see now, it's done copying. All we have to do is just to copy to clipboard. So it has copied 142 layers and it's ready to be pasted right inside of Figma. So head on to Figma, you create a new project. We will then select our desktop and hit Ctrl and V to paste all the layers. So this is going to take some while. You just have to wait a little bit. So this is 6581. All the layers are now right inside of Figma. But as you can see here, some parts are really outside inside of the desktop screen. So this means we have to expand the desktop size from Figma. So let's check the size that it was inside of Figma. But before that, I forgot to mention one thing. Let me just use Figma for this example. So in Figma, if you're very conversant with Figma, you will know what auto layout is. So when I mention auto layout, you should know auto layout is used to create anything responsive. So if you want to create a responsive site, a responsive design, a responsive layout, you can use auto layout to perfectly align that. So in Figma, it's called auto layout, and if we're exporting it, or rather importing it inside of Figma, is literally called stack. So when I'm mentioning stack, I'm also meaning auto layout in Figma, and when I'm mentioning stack in Figma, I'm also meaning auto layout. Okay, I'm getting this mixed up. So what I'm trying to say is that when we are in Figma, it's called auto layout, and when we import in Figma, it's called stack. They basically mean the same thing. They achieve the same task. So that is why I just wanted to clear before we comment. So let me check the width of the frame. So this is around here. Let's just copy it, Ctrl+C and paste it into that of the desktop width. So this is Ctrl and V. As you can see here, the desktop size is chopping off the remaining sides of the design. So how do we perfectly align the height of the desktop to the height of the Figma design that we imported in Figma? So click the desktop, head on to height. We're going to change it from fixed to fit content, and that will just fit the content of the design we imported from Figma. So we're actually done with this. In fact, we can even publish this design right now to go live to the internet. But before we do that, let's just add other breakpoints. So you select the plus that you have on the desktop and select tablet, and you select that for phone. So this is going to be a lot of stress because it's not really responsive. So this is where stack comes in, and we have to just start rearranging layers. It sounds like a lot of stress. So let's just quickly find out what the problem is, because we have the design chopping out of the screen. The first thing I like doing before even starting in placing layers is to set the main ordinary desktop to a stack. We can also apply that even when the design is already on it. So just select the desktop, head on to your properties, and you click the layout. So it automatically turns into a stack when you click the layout. If you're just knowing about Figma for the first time, because I might not be breaking everything down to the beginner's level, so you can check my channel. There's a comprehensive video for Figma, specifically for Figma. You can do well to check that, and you will catch up pretty soon. So we have turned the desktop into a stack. The next thing we're going to be doing is to start structuring this design. Like you can see, so many parts is cutting out of other breakpoints. The mobile is just worse, but we can also fix that. The next thing we're going to be looking out for here is to find out where the problem is, because we really have to fix this responsiveness. So everything is going to be ordered, but there's actually a very big problem, and it's coming from the person who designed this actual work from Figma. So I think the person wasn't really thinking about the responsive part when he was creating it inside of Figma. Let me show you guys what I mean, so that you guys can see what I'm actually facing on this design. So selecting the hero section that is housing all the elements in the hero section. It's called landing page on the layers panel. If you're very conversant with Figma, you will know that when you turn on auto layout, stack. When you turn on stack, you have the ability to change it from absolute to relative. But in this case, it's a stack and we still don't have the ability to change it to relative. And what this means is that we still don't have access to change the width to fill. And by changing it to fill width, it's going to help us to bring back all the elements that is outside the frame of other breakpoints. So this frame that you see that is outlining outside of this other breakpoint is actually the landing page frame. And if we had the ability to change it from this fixed to fill, is going to fill the width of the present frame of the breakpoint, which will solve some of our problem. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. So what do you think we can do in this case? Because like I said, if you're very conversant with Figma, you understand what I just said. Let me just rephrase everything back. So selecting the landing page, that is the frame that's housing the hero section, you will see that whenever we are using stack in Figma, we have the ability to change it from absolute to relative. But in this case, it's a stack though, but we still don't have the access to choose relative. And this affects some vital things that we're supposed to correct on this design, which is setting the width from fixed to fill. It's only when it's on relative that we have the ability to change it from fixed to fill. But now you see, we don't even have access to click the fill button. So what do you think we can do in this case? This is my own best decision, because if I was the one designing it from Figma, I would know how to structure all the layers into auto layouts that will be really easy for me to fit inside of Figma. So the best thing to do in this case is to bring out all the design elements and start restructuring them back into the frame. That takes a lot of time, but trust me, it's going to be very easy. So you select the desktop, hit enter twice to select all the elements inside the desktop and drag them out of the frame. So F on your keyboard to select a frame, and we are going to be drawing out the section for the hero section. I don't know if that makes sense. In this case, you now see we have the ability to change it to fill. This is what I was trying to explain just a while ago. So setting it to fill, I'll be pressing this layout here to turn it into a stack. So this automatically turns it into a stack. In this case, we're not going to be using the color, so let's just go ahead by doing that there. So I'll be renaming this as hero section. The next thing we're going to be doing is to start fixing all these elements outside the frame that is meant to be on the hero section to the frame. So I'll start with the header, so just Ctrl X to cut it out and Ctrl and V to paste it into the frame. So for the hero section, for the header section, it's not supposed to be inside the hero section. It's supposed to be outside the hero section because we want it to stick at the top. And whenever it's inside the frame, the hero section frame, there is a stack. We don't have the ability to control its movement to stick to the top of the frame. So we are going to just do this and remove it outside of the hero section from our menu, and that will just automatically stick to the top of the hero section. So that's it for the header. We can actually add a padding at the top of the desktop here. Just select the desktop, go down to your padding and select a top value of, let's just go with 50. 50 is kind of too much, so let's just go with 20. So this is okay to roll. So next up, we are going to drag in this element. Just drag it into your design. This is it right there. Then drag the second one and the button. So this is it. Just select it. You can actually use the Ctrl X value to Ctrl X to cut it and place it on the hero section. So let's start rearranging everything as it's supposed to be. To select the three frames, the three elements anyway. Select the three elements and you turn it into a stack. So Ctrl Alt Enter. So in this way, we are going to change the direction from a horizontal part to a vertical part to switch it to the way it's supposed to be. The next thing we're going to do is to set the alignment to the left, that is starting of the left. So this is it here. After that, we want to align this element to the top of the frame so it can stick to the top somewhere around here. Like I always say in my tutorials, the main stack or the secondary stack is the one controlling the behavior of the primary frame inside it. So in this case, the main stack is the hero section. Go to the layout option and we'll change the distribute to start and the alignment to start, so everything will just start from the top of the frame. So we're going to set a padding, a top value of, let's just go with 100. Next up is to add a padding on both sides, both the left and the right. So on the right hand side, we still give a padding of 100, and on the left hand side, we give a padding of 100. So that solves it all. The next thing is to bring in the last element, which is this illustration here. Ctrl X to cut it and Ctrl and V to paste it. So that is it for the hero section. The next thing we are going to be doing is to select the hero section frame, go to the layout, the sizing option. We are going to change the height from fixed to fit content, so you can fit the content of the present frame in the hero section. The next thing to do is to bring in all those logos inside our design. We are going to select another frame for that. At F on your keyboard and select a frame just like this. Let's just reduce it because we don't actually want to use much. Set the width to fill width and turn it into a stack and remove the fill color just like how we always do. You rename it to logo section. So select the frame that is housing all the logos and hit enter to select the individual logos. So Ctrl X to cut, come to the logo section, is around here, and Ctrl and V to paste it. We're also going to turn all the logos into another stack. So Ctrl Alt Enter to select another stack, and we will set a gap in. Let's just space this out just like this, and set the width is automatically set to fill, so we don't have any problem with that. So we are done with the logo section. So we're almost done with this. It's just remaining the card section. It's just this easy to restructure things back, because assuming I was one that designed it from Figma, we'll be passing through all the stress that we're going through now. I'll be selecting these two elements that we have here, this button and the subtext. Ctrl X and Ctrl and V, select the desktop, Ctrl and V to paste it. So we'll turn it into a stack. Ctrl Alt Enter to select a stack. So like we always do, you set it, align it to the left hand side, and set a padding to like 100 padding to the left hand side. So left hand side 100, right hand side 100. So there we go. Then we'll set a top padding of 100 also. Next up, we'll be selecting our card section, Ctrl X and Ctrl and V. So let's select our design, Ctrl and V to select it there. We don't have a problem here because I feel the person actually used stack here to fix in all those cards. So if we are restructuring this, we shouldn't have a problem. So selecting this text section and this card section, we are going to group them in another stack. Ctrl Alt Enter to select a new stack. Then on the stack option, we are going to be giving a gapping between these two elements here. So let's just increase the gapping to somewhere around here. So we're going to be creating a section for this CTA block here. So select F on your keyboard and let's drag out a frame just like this. You set the width to fill width and you set it into a stack, and also remove the fill color. Just go down and remove the fill color. Next up, you select your card, Ctrl X to cut, then Ctrl and V to paste, and let's set the width to fill width and what else, the gapping between both sides. So select the gapping 100 on the right and 100 on the left. The last thing to put into this design is this illustration here. Just select it and paste it on our design. We can change it to absolute so that we can be able to have this access to place it anywhere on the design. So it was hanging somewhere around here from the Figma file. So only absolute position can give us this access to place things randomly. So that is it, guys, and we are done structuring. We call it restructuring this design. So it's now time for us to fix other breakpoints. It's very easy in this way now. So select the hero section, you change the direction to vertical. So that's how easy it is to restructure other breakpoints, because the way it came from Figma, everything didn't just give us this access to restructure layouts on other breakpoints. The next thing to do here is to fix the card section on this breakpoint. But the way things are looking, if we set it to fill from the desktop side, it's not supposed to be going outside of the frame. I don't know if you understand me. Let's quickly analyze something. So we're going to locate the card section as housing all these cards. So this is it here. It's called the service block. Let's check the width. It's set to fit here. So we're going to change it from fit to fill. So it's going to, like, everything is going to fill the present breakpoint. So in this way, we can actually start restructuring things, which is going to make things more easier for us. So the next thing to do is to select the first card section and change the direction to a vertical path. Do the same thing for the second section. So we cannot see other elements, it's just because it's inside of the frame. Let's fix that from the main section. So by selecting the desktop, you head on to the height, and we're going to change it from fixed to fit content. So no matter the layers that we're going to be adding, everything is just going to be filling. So that is it. So we are good to roll. Let's just change the last section to vertical position. Then let's restructure this down here. So this is it for the tablet version. You see how it took us less than 2 minutes to restructure things. We're also going to do the same for the mobile version. Let's just select the hero section, change it to a vertical part. But you see, things are not really going that well. The reason is this: we use a padding of 100 from the desktop to the tablet, and using a padding of 100 for the mobile phone is not ideal. So we are going to change the padding of it to something like 20. So choose the hero section, go down to the padding. We change the padding from the right hand side to 20, and the one on the left hand side to 20 also. We still have some elements that is still going outside of the frame. So select the text. I see we didn't even turn it to fill. So let's just change that to fill and change the subtext to fill. So that is it, guys. So it's just this easy to do. So the next section here is our card section. Let's just change the padding of this to, what did we say, 20? Yeah, 20 here and 20 on the left. So we're going to start from the card section. You select the card and change the direction to a vertical part. Do the same for this, change it to a vertical part just like this, and this last section to a vertical part. You see that things are not even going that well. The main reason why things turned out this way is, number one, the padding and the frame that is housing the element, the card section, is not set to fill. So let me just quickly analyze this. Select the card section of the first set and change it to fill just like this. Do the same for the second part, change it to fill. But you still notice that nothing actually changed. The main reason is this: I want you to have this understanding that once you see an outline outside of the breakpoint, it's simply telling you that something is wrong, or maybe it's not set to fill, maybe it's set to fixed, and we need to change it to fill. So you just have to have that at mind. So select each of the cards. We are going to select all the cards just like this. Next up, you go to the resize option and change the width of it to fill. You will now see everything is back to the phone breakpoint. So one more step to finalize everything is the padding. So we are going to change the padding of it to 20 and the left hand side to 20 as well. So you quickly do the same for other side, 20 here and 20 on the left. That is it. And for the last section, 20 here and 20 on the other side. So you see our card, everything is now looking beautiful. The last section here is just this footer. Let's just select the CTA block and change the padding of it to 20 here and 20 on the left hand side. There we go. If you notice, our text is kind of hanging outside, so we're going to select the layer that is housing all those texts, set the width to fill. Everything is now looking so organized. Let's just reduce this size a little bit, something like this, and place it around here. So this is good to roll, and we have restructured everything to a responsive site. So if we want to publish this design to a live site right now, all we have to do is just to click publish and our site goes live. But before that, let's add few effects to our design. So let's just say we want the button to hover. All we have to do is just to select the button, right click and create a component. So in this case, let's just name it as hover button, hover bot. So that's good to roll. So we are going to be adding another variant, click another variant, and be making this color kind of brighter. So this is it. Let's just shift this somewhere around here. We can choose to give this outer glow to our button. All we have to do is just to select your shadows, shift this around here. We can use the color picker to pick this color here. Let's just choose a lighter part of it. So that is it. Select a white value, increase it to somewhere around here. Then let's create a blur to something like this and change the type to realistic. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to connect these two variants. Select the first button, connect it to the second one, and change it to when mouse enter. So when the mouse enter, it's going to switch to the second button. So let's just do the same thing for the second variant. So you select the second variant and connect it to the first one, and in this case, when the mouse leaves, it's going to change back to the first button. By previewing this, let's just play with this button here. You see that when we hover through this, it's going to change to the second variant, and when our mouse leaves, it's going to change back into the first variant. So this is everything that we're going to be adding on this site. We can go on and on and on in adding different effects to this design. So let's preview everything that we have been doing so far to check if there's actually progress. So let's start with reducing the viewport to check the responsiveness of other breakpoints. By reducing the viewport, you will see everything is responsive just the way we did it. So this is it, and that was the reason why we have to bring out all the elements and start restructuring them back into the desktop. So checking our button, you will see it's still giving that hover effect, and let's just do something really funny. For example, we want it to be that when we click the button, this consultation button, it should lead us to my own YouTube handle. So how do we do that? So the first thing we are going to do is to first source out for the link, and then we are going to link it to the button. So to do that, I'll be going to the web version of my YouTube handle, just select the link here, Ctrl C, head back to Figma. We then double click on this button to where we did this variant thing. Then you see link on the right hand side, you simply select the plus, then you paste the link that will copy it from the web. So this is it, and it's good to roll. So let's click the desktop to preview what we actually did. So go down to the button, let's click it. It's not leading us to where we want it to be. The reason behind this is because we are previewing it and it's not an actual website. It can only lead us to where we want it to lead when it's linked to a live web. I don't know if you get that. So we have to first set it to an actual website. So you just click the publish button right there, and it's going to be published. Here you can see your project has been published to this link. So you can have this weird link here. You can always customize it. You simply click the add domain button. So head down to where you have this custom domain, and let's just go with something like YouTube Tuts. So that is good to roll, and click this button here. You see your custom domain has been connected. So if we go to this website, this youtubetut.figma.com website, you see it's going to lead us to our actual web. So this is it on my browser, and everything is looking so nice. If we minimize this to check other breakpoints, let's just minimize this tab, you will see everything is still responsive. By returning this back, let's click that button to see if it's going to lead us back to my home page on YouTube. So by clicking this, you see it's redirecting us to my YouTube handle. Let me just pause that. So that is it. This is how you can automate and link other elements to where you want it to be. But since we are done publishing our website, the real question I would like to ask right now is, why did we actually go through this stress when we can even design everything right inside of Figma and publish it right inside of the same application? I mean, it's that easy. I'm not trying to downgrade the usage of Figma in this case, no, because you can actually see the amount of time that we wasted in trying to restructure our layers from the design we imported right inside of Figma, because everything between Figma and Figma is kind of similar. Let me take this as an example. Like I was saying earlier on, I said in Figma it's called stack, and in Figma it's called an auto layout. So if we choose to change the direction of this hero section, all we have to do is go down to the direction and change it to a vertical position, and everything is just going to form that vertical layout. Going over to Figma, we can also do that same thing. Select the hero section, go down to your auto layout and set the path to a vertical path, and you will see it still gives us that same layout. And the most important thing to create a responsive design is the utilization of stack, which is also auto layout. So you can get the vibe of what I'm trying to say, because the two tools or the two platforms are actually having some similarities in common. So you can just design everything right inside of Figma and publish it without passing through those steps in importing, restructuring your design and publish it. I mean, it does a lot of stress. So that's it for this tutorial. If you like this video, give a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and see you guys in the next video. Oh god, feeling so tired.